Hello my good fellas, today we are going to talk about Fredo Corleone. What is actually known about him? How exactly did Fredo betray his brother? Could Michael have avoided killing Fredo? Is Fredo the victim or the villain? And what would happen if Michael was killed by the henchmen in The Godfather 2? Let's find out. My name is Ivan Piatouski and you're watching Vano VHS. Born in 1919 into a Corleone family, Fredo was frequently ill. As a young boy, he was an abusive kid, but he lost that quality as he got older. After dropping out of school, he stayed with his parents. Finally, Vito decided to give him a dirty job in the family business. Fredo was regarded as the weakest of the three brothers, and he was charged with handling relatively insignificant things. He was oftentimes sent to pick up big men at the airport and amuse them the night before business meetings. While he wasn't tough enough to deserve his father's endorsement, his mother really loved him. It should be made clear that in the book Fredo wasn't a physically weak man. Whatever it was, he had plenty of strength. Fredo was weak mentally. When Don's driver Polly got fell ill, Fredo offered to drive his father. This is when Don is attacked by gunmen. While Fredo was fiddling with his gun, he failed to fire back. After the killers escaped, rather than seek help, Fredo would sit in the street and wail. The failure to shield his father fostered his feelings of incompleteness. If Fredo let the Godfather be shot, why didn't Sonny punish his brother or send him into exile? In fact, Fredo was so shocked by what had happened that his family had to call him a doctor. They gave him a sedative, but even after that he couldn't give any details. They decided to suspend him from business. And the sponsor of this Vano VHS episode is Audible. Audiobooks are a great way to get a taste of a book without sitting down to read. You can listen to audiobooks in the car, at the gym, and you can read a book at any speed you want to finish reading faster. Audible offers an incredible selection of audiobooks of all genres. The best part is that the app has all those books we love so much. The Godfather, The Family Corleone, The Godfather's Revenge, Wise Guy, Hit 2 by Michael Mann, and many more. Remember when I told you about the special edition of The Godfather with the Coppola introduction? You can listen to it today. All you have to do is visit audibletrial.com/vanovhs and ask for a trial. New users can try Audible for free for 30 days. Goodfellas, they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. I love books, but I don't always have time to read a paper version. But with Audible I can always enjoy The Godfather on the road or while driving. I really hope you will enjoy it too. Visit audibletrial.com/vanovhs and use a trial. All links are in the description. As an Audible associate, I earn from qualifying purchases, at no cost to you. Fredo migrated to Las Vegas and was accepted by Mo Green as a favor to the family. But Green never treated Fredo as an equal. One day, Green even jeopardized him by forcing him to dispose of a corpse. When Mo refused Michael, Fredo tried to defend Green and was warned to never go against the family again. Afterwards, Green was slain. Michael's initiative led to Fredo being promoted to underboss, although Fredo in fact was not granted a shred of power. I'm sure many people have no idea about the name of the actor who played Fredo. Well, his name is John Cazale, and you may also have seen him in such big hits as The Conversation, Dog Day Afternoon and The Deer Hunter. Actually, John had a pretty exciting destiny, but that's a topic for a separate video. And if you want to hear his story, let me know in the comments down below. Few people know, but Fredo actually had a child. Elsewhere in Las Vegas, Fredo encountered Margaret Duval, who was sent to his hotel room by Johnny Fontaine. Initially hesitant though, Fredo ultimately gave in and slept with her. Shortly thereafter, Margaret bore a child, which she put up for adoption. Fredo showed up at a Christmas party at the family residence with Dina Dunn, a prominent but fading movie star. Dunn convinced Fredo to show up in cameo roles in some of her movies. Fredo's Hollywood ties subsequently earned him his own TV program, The Fredo Corleone Show, which was broadcast in the evenings on a local Nevada television station until his demise in 1959. It seems to me that the idea for the show came to the authors after learning about the biography of Lev Rosenthal, who became the prototype of Ace from the Casino movie. Here you've got casino management, mafia connections, a private TV show and a sickly wife who cheated on him. What do you think? Am I right? On one occasion, Fredo found his wife cheating on him with her coworker, and Fredo shot up the car he had bought her as a present. As Dina's colleagues sought to assault him, Fredo knocked him down and ended up going to jail. With thanks to Tom Hagen, Fredo got the charges dropped, characterizing the incident as self-defense. Soon thereafter, the disloyal capo Nick Geraci meets with the Don of Cleveland and explains how Fredo could assist their plot to take down Michael. The deal with Hyman Roth was stalemated, and the two decided to use Fredo as a pawn. Fredo meets with Johnny Ola and provides him all the information he requires regarding Corleone's financial interests. Following that, Fredo argued that his goal in the deal was merely to obtain whatever for himself, and swore that there was no idea that he was being used as part of a plot to murder Michael. What Michael discovered was Fredo's treachery during a Havana trip, when Fredo let it slip that he and Johnny Ola had been in Havana before. Afterwards, Michael would say the iconic line,
"I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart."
Fredo flees, afraid for his own life, but in fact he's in no threat because Michael thinks that Ola and Roth exploited Fredo. When Michael is later prosecuted by the Congressional Committee on Organized Crime, during a dialogue with Fredo, he understands his brother had concealed vital info regarding Hyman Roth's connection to the committee's lawyer. As he banishes Fredo from the family, Michael instructs that no harm should come to Fredo while their mother is living. Following the death of their mother and at the persuasion of their sister Connie, Michael relented towards Fredo and seemingly offered a reconciliation. However, doing so was part of Michael's plan. Fredo and his nephew Anthony were in touch with Michael's permission and were supposed to be fishing at Lake Tahoe. Anthony, though, is called by Connie, who reveals that his father wants him taken to Reno. Fredo is staying alone in the boat with Al Neri, and they take the boat farther out into the lake. By the time Fredo utters the Hail Mary prayer, Neri fires a shot to the back of his head. For the rest of his life, Michael was tortured by the guilt of having Fredo killed. Eventually, having had a stroke, Michael summoned not just anybody, but Fredo. This also damaged Michael's relations with his son and Kay. Now let's answer the question, could Michael have avoided killing Fredo? I don't know what I would have done in Michael's shoes, so I'll try to turn off the subjective self and try to judge as objectively as possible. Yes, Fredo did a terrible thing. He almost killed his own brother and his family. At that moment, if Michael had said it was just business, nothing personal, it would have been a complete lie. Everything was personal for Michael. Michael wanted to show that no one goes against the family and no one would be forgiven, not even the family. But let's think, could Michael really have had mercy on his brother? If we turn off our emotions, then the answer is yes. Note that Signora Corleone died sometime after Fredo's betrayal, so we can judge that Fredo did nothing terrible during that period. In fact, Fredo was completely suppressed and was willing to do anything to gain his brother's trust. Remember how he embraced Michael when he supposedly excused Judas. Remember how he was capricious during their dispute with Michael in the second film. Hell, he yells if somebody had been bought cotton candy and he hadn't. So yes, I think Michael could have spared his brother, but as Michael Francis rightly pointed out, forgiveness can play a cruel trick on you. And what do you think about that? Write in the comments. The next crucial question is Fredo the victim or the villain? Of all the brothers, Fredo was the most mediocre. He had no outstanding qualities like Sonny or Michael. It's hard for me to say why, but that's how it is in life. There can always be a black sheep. The movie only hints at this, but the book says straight out that Fredo had little brains. He couldn't see further than his nose. He loved his family and even tried to earn Godfather's respect when he volunteered to accompany him on the trip. But you remember how that all turned out. The moment Michael becomes Don, Fredo is resentful, for he thought he was supposed to be the head of the family. Fredo has no traits of a real villain, all his actions are caused by a lack of intelligence. Here is another interesting observation. The phenomenon of destiny is traced throughout history. Vito Corleone once said, "Every man has his own destiny." I think that's how you can explain the motivations of most of the characters in The Godfather. Let's think, for example, of Michael's arc. He gets an education, gets an American girlfriend, signs up to volunteer during the war, in other words, tries in every way to disassociate himself from the Corleone family. What's the bottom line? His father is on the brink of life and death, the Corleone family is under attack, there are enemies all around, and Michael faces a choice: live as if nothing had happened and forget about his family, or act and accept the consequences. You know what happened next. The question is, do we have freedom of choice, or is our fate already predetermined? If we proceed from the logic of the authors, it's more likely predetermined. I guess Fredo was destined to be a simpleton who could only serve and cause trouble. In any case, if Fredo was a victim, he was most likely a victim of his own stupidity. What would happen if Michael was killed by the gunman in The Godfather 2? If the attack on Michael had succeeded, Fredo would have taken Don Corleone's chair. Many people think that Tom Hagen could become the leader of the family, but this is a delusion. Tom has Irish roots and is not Sicilian, which rules out his right to the throne. Connie Corleone couldn't become the leader of the family because of her gender. Yes, she could be a consigliere, but not the Don of the family. Among gangsters, every day is a battle. Everyone is trying to set you up, kill you, wipe you off the face of the earth. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Fredo was not a warrior, he wasn't a strategist, he had no cunning. Where I am going with this? Pretty soon after ascending the throne, Fredo would get involved in dark affairs that the Corleones had previously refused to deal with, thereby forfeiting most of the connections Don Vito had been building up for decades. Members of the organization will want to defect or start their own families. Hyman Roth will try to squeeze everything out of Fredo, and then, when there is nothing left to squeeze out, he will get rid of Fredo. Then put Johnny Ola in charge of the family, and the family itself will be renamed the Ola family. Many will say that this is unlikely, but however so. Shortly before the events of The Godfather 1, Barzini framed his boss and then Emilio took over the family, giving it a new name. Now let's find out what happened to Fredo in the other Godfather books. In the novel The Godfather Returns, Fredo Corleone's character is exposed even further. This book includes answers to questions left open in the movies, such as the details of Fredo's treachery in The Godfather 2, and how exactly Anthony Jr. found out the hard truth surrounding Fredo's demise. The novel indicates that Fredo is bisexual and implies that as a child he was molested by a priest. Louis Russo, a rival gangster, exploits rumors of Fredo's non-traditional identity and attempts to have him killed while he is with his boyfriend. The novel also shows Fredo kicking one of his favorites to death in San Francisco after the latter recognized Fredo in a newspaper article photo. Rudd, Ola, as well as the disloyal capo Nick Geraci use Fredo as a pawn to get rid of Michael. Geraci and Ola meet Fredo, who gets drunk after a quarrel with his wife, and they promise to make his necropolis concept come true in return for intelligence on Michael. The death of Fredo is narrated in much the same way as was depicted in the second part of The Godfather. Anthony, who is planning to go fishing together with his uncle, is called by his aunt Connie. In fact, he is not going anywhere, but instead is sent to his room, where he sees Fredo and Neri out the window on the lake. Anthony hears a gunshot and witnesses Neri coming back alone. In The Godfather's Revenge, Fredo shows up in one of Michael's dreams, alerting him to the looming threat and wondering why he killed his own brother. The majority of the novel portrays Michael suffering the blame for Fredo's killing. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss future Godfather videos. Support the channel by buying the Godfather merch. All the links are in the description. Make sure to watch the full Godfather playlist on the right. My name is Ivan Piatouski and you are watching Vano VHS.